You are now listening to the Q&E Podcast.
Is this what you want? Huh? Is this what you want? Well, come and get it, goddammit!
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Q&E Podcast, and you are here with your boy Q Hicks right now. And I got Edgar on the other line. Edgar, tell the people what's good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Q&E Podcast. Today, we are reviewing A Quiet Place 2. This is one of the most anticipated movies of the summer, especially for us two, boy. We've been waiting for this since it was announced in like 2019. Yeah,
I was about to say it's been 2 years because it was supposed to come out in 2020 before, and then they pushed it back.
It was supposed to come out in it was supposed to come out April of last year, but it's finally out now. If you haven't seen it, be sure to go see it. If you haven't seen The Quiet Place, like the first one, be sure to go see that one first. That way,
one of my favorite movies of all time, bro. One of my favorite movies of all time, dog.
This shit was crazy. If you never seen the movie Quiet, you will in this one.
And I think that's what makes this series so great is because you really don't get that experience anywhere else. Like that was my first time ever experiencing that. I've heard other people talking about other quiet movies that they've been to and they experienced that, but this was my first time. So seeing it and experiencing it is like a different feeling because my first time watching A Quiet Place wasn't in theaters. Like it was like I was just watching it for the first time. Like it was like out for a couple of years. Then I watched it. But when I watched it in theaters, it was just a different vibe. Everybody had to be quiet. Like you can't eat no food because you're gonna mess up everybody else's experience. So it's just a whole different vibe. And I fuck with it. Like weirdly enough, I fuck with this shit though.
Definitely. I feel the same way. When I seen the first one in theaters a few years ago, I was like, I'm eating my food all slow and shit. I'm trying not to make noise. I'm like, I can't even take a bite out of my chicken tender without making noise in the movies.
And that's the good thing about the movie theaters being empty is that you ain't got to worry about too many people eating or talking or whatever. Because most of the time, if you get a full packed theater, especially at an anticipated movie like this, you're gonna have some niggas fucking up the film, talking right by you. But in my theater, it was pretty damn empty. So it was just like a few people was in there, and I had went on Thursday, and the movie had ended up coming out Friday. So I was just like, it was cool. So it was pretty quiet in that bit.
My theater wasn't packed, but there were definitely a good amount of people in there. So it was kind of almost like the full theater experience.
And I'm wondering when it will pick back up to like being like full, because I still feel like people are like trying to ease back into the movies, but I'm going head on. Like I ain't been to the movies in a year. Like I'm trying to get in there, but I feel like people are trying to ease into it. I'm wondering when that switch will actually flip into it being like all packed out theaters once again. Because I think they said this was the highest like pandemic film that we've had. Like obviously the anticipation, but obviously we starting to get out of the pandemic a little bit. So we starting to get more money and more revenue for Quiet Place 2. So definitely shout out to them, bro, for this film. But if you have not seen The Quiet Place 2, I will give you the synopsis. Following the deadly events at home, the Abbott family must now face the terrors of the outside world as they continue their fight for survival in silence. Forced to venture into the unknown, they quickly realize that the creatures that hunt by sound are not only the threats that lurk beyond the sand path. And we did realize that there are some shits other than the monsters, bro. And we are going to call them shits the Demogorgons because they remind me of the Demogorgons from Stranger Things. So we're just going to call them bitches either monsters or Demogorgons. So definitely bear with us. So Edgar, what was your expectations coming into this film?
My expectations were very high. I was definitely expecting to get more background as to where they came from and to what we could expect for the next one. And I don't feel like that's a spoiler. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. There is.
Did you come into this movie thinking it was going to be a next one? Because I don't think I had that expectation.
I had a feeling there was going to be another one because based off of the time of the movie, like this was under 2 hours, right? Yeah. So the fact that this was under 2 hours. So I was expecting them to kind of rush a little bit with explaining what happened and still keeping up with present day because that's how they made it look in the preview. So I'm like, they're going to tell you what happened, but they're also going to give you a lot of what's happening still now after the first one. So I kind of felt like there was going to be another one. And my prediction of that ended up being true. But other than that, I just expected to be just as thrilled as the first one. I expected great background knowledge for this movie, which they did give. And I kind of almost expected half of the stars to like die. Like I thought people were gonna actually.
Oh, you thought it was gonna be like that?
Yeah, I thought at least two of them was gonna die. At least two.
I did expect the background information that on how the monsters got into the town and shit like that, because we seen that John Krasinski was in the preview, so you knew he was gonna come back. And obviously he had died in one, so you knew they were gonna have to get some type of background on what happened and how it got started. But I don't know. I didn't know what else I was going to expect other than the background, because it was just like, are we just going to pick up from where we left off? Like, what situation were they going to be in? And we did find out that they just picked up where they left off, basically. But the biggest thing I was anticipating was the background. How did these monsters end up getting into this town? And how did you guys know that being quiet was the best way to avoid them? Because in this movie, I don't think anybody really explained how they knew they had to be quiet to avoid them. How did they know that? Y'all never seen these monsters before, but y'all know to be quiet?
The one scene where the attack first happened on day one, and you see Lee, he goes into the shop with, I'm calling daughter Ray, because we looked up the cast name, you guys. I think the daughter's name is like Reagan or something like that. I'm just gonna call her Ray.
They said none of these names in the film, and I couldn't hear what they were saying anyway in discussion.
Exactly. So if we butcher the names, bear with us. But when Lee took Ray into that little shop and everybody was hiding on day one when the monsters first came, and that lady's cell phone went off, I think that was the sign of just be quiet and the monsters won't bother us, because you see they were all in there and they were quiet when the monster walked by, but then as soon as that cell phone went off, so I think that was their way of.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like, how did they know be quiet before the cell phone went off? You didn't know being quiet was going to help you until the cell phone went off. So it's like, how did you really know that? Like, what information was given to you to know that being quiet was really like the solution to avoid them? So that's one thing that was really like missing in the film for me. And I know we talked about it before, but were you fulfilled with the background that you did get with how the monsters ended up being introduced to us? Them like coming in from like a meteor from outer space and then just randomly landing on the planet. Like, was that satisfying to you?
I mean, there's no need. I feel like they're doing good with keeping it mysterious right now, for the fact that there is going to be a third one. They might go a little bit more in depth with explanation based off of the way they ended this movie and how they're going to go about killing them in the third one. So I feel like I'm going to give them one more chance to touch on that, on where they came from, because right now, like, they kill everybody who makes a sound. So the government people might have been killed or something like that, to where they couldn't even realize like where they came from and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like leaving us in the dark right now and just saying this shit just happened. Like aliens just came one day. And I feel like that's so real, bro. That's such a real thing. I'm kind of okay with them not giving a full explanation on how they came, why they came. All that. Sometimes aliens just coming because aliens just fucking came. Like, I think that's cool.
And but the thing is, when the meteor had ended up coming down, because they were at the baseball game when they seen like the meteor looking thing come down. So they were at the baseball game. When they end up getting back to the car to drive away from the situation because they see that something's going on, like we already see that a monster runs into the town and like ends up killing somebody and running into a cop car. I'm like, how did them niggas just land? Like, we were just looking at the meteor and now them niggas like running up in my town. Like, that shit just felt way too quick, my nigga. I'ma roll with it. But that's something I did have to take off. Like, I don't know if they're gonna play with that in the next movie or not. But that's something I did look at. I was like, I don't know if they rushed. I feel like they rushed that a little bit when looking at the introduction to how they got in.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because I thought we were going to get way more detail. When I seen the previews and I seen like the prequel with John Krasinski, I was like, okay, we finna get some detail. Even though we don't get any detail, like you said, maybe the government was killed and shit happened so quick you can't even get information into the town. I understand all of that. But it still felt kind of rushed. We didn't understand why they had to be quiet, how the hell they knew that. And how they just ran into the town so quickly. It's just like, this shit just happened so quick. And then now we're like in day 400 and something back in real time. It's just like, I wish they would have drawn it out a little bit. I think this movie was like a minute and 40. Was the movie a minute and 40? Yeah. I think this movie was like a minute and 40. If they would have stretched this out to like a minute and 50, minute and 55 to just give us more and give us more background and tell us like, how did you really know the things that you had to know to avoid them, to get to the point that you had to survive? Like, just dive into that a little bit more. I think I would have been satisfied with it, but that's something I did duck off. I love the movie, but that's something I did had to take off for a little bit. So origin of the Demogorgons living with Buddy from the town. So we start off the movie and we're back in real time. Like I said, we just got the origin story about the monsters. We're in real time and we're with Evelyn, we're with Ray, we're with Marcus, and we obviously know the baby from Quiet Place 1. So they are leaving their old house from before. They feel like it's going to get ransacked or they're going to come back for them once again. And they just have bad memories from that place because obviously Lee died there. So they don't want to stay there no more. And they're trying to find other places where they can get together with somebody and obviously find shelter or find a better place to like cohabitate or shit like that. So they go through the forest, and that's when we get our first monster attack. And my nigga Marcus ends up almost getting his damn foot chopped off by a bear trap and all that crazy shit. So what was your first reaction to the first monster that we seen and all that shit like that first scene?
I thought it was cool before they even went on the trail. And you kind of seen this in the first one too, how they had on top of everybody's silos or the highest point of where everybody was staying, they lit fires to communicate from a distance. So I thought that was cool on how they navigated through the forest and stuff like that. But the first monster, the first monster scene was crazy. Like it was everything I thought it was gonna be. When Marcus got his foot caught in that bear trap and he started hollering, I was like, bro, this shit finna be so crazy.
Bro, that's what I was really worried about. The rest of the movie, I really wasn't worried about them niggas. I know Evelyn gonna keep shit, keep shit pimping.
Yeah.
But that first scene, I was just like, somebody's going to die here.
That's what I thought. Somebody
really felt like
die,
that,
bro.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like they all were gonna make it. The fact that they all lived at the end of the movie, that was crazy to me. How they all still survived. I just knew Marcus was gonna die because I'm like, your foot almost got chopped off, so I really thought he was gonna die then.
What would you have done in that situation, bro? Because think about that. Obviously, that's your son, so Evelyn gonna rock out to the end with that nigga. But you got two other kids you gotta protect. You got a baby you gotta protect. Like, what do you do? Obviously, you're trying to shoot the monster down, but it looked like she really wasn't trying to retreat at all and trying to find shelters. Like, she was going to really stay there. So what would you have done in a situation like that where it's like, damn, am I going to like sacrifice my son for us to live? Or am I just going to just sacrifice and just stay with him until, or we all might go out in that situation?
The crazy thing is, it would have been so dark if they wrote into the script that she just left him.
That's what I was thinking, bro. Like, they would have left him. Dark. Oh my god, bro, that should have been.
I ain't gonna lie, that would have made the movie better.
That would have made the movie better. Yes.
If they would have took that dark ass turn and she just had a serious look on her face and just left him there screaming, that shit would have been crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
But I ain't mad at the fact that she tried to like save him and stuff like that. I feel like she could have tried to do better with like running with him, but his foot in the bear trap, he ain't trying to move at all.
He ain't finna go nowhere. He ain't finna go nowhere, bro. But I fully agree with that scene. And then we see Lee end up, because throughout the whole movie, this fucking hearing aid saved the day. God damn it. And every scene felt like the hearing aid was saving the day. But y'all already know, if y'all watch Quiet Place 1, they put the hearing aid on like the big ass microphone, and that really fucks up the noise.
And like they turn it to a certain frequency.
Yeah, they put it on the radio, turn to a certain frequency, and then that shit just fucks with the monster's ears and shit like that. And obviously that causes a distraction so you can run away and shit like that. So that's what happens. They end up shooting the monster. Right, and then somebody
you have to shoot it in the head. You have to shoot it in the head.
Then they ended up shooting one in the head, but remember they was getting chased until
it was a whole nother one.
There was a whole nother one that came because my boy was screaming so loud. So another one had ended up coming in while Lee was
gunshot. Once that gunshot went off, I was like, yeah. So for y'all ass.
And then Lee ended up saving him. He had to put Marcus on his back, had to run all the way in. And Lee was somebody that we met in the first scene of the film. He was somebody who we seen at the baseball field with Lee. He was good friends with Lee, with the family, and all of that good stuff. And it was crazy how when they ended up going back into the house, and not the house, but the little shelter, whatever that he had set up. And what's my boy name?
Who? Marcus, the boy?
Not the boy, but the dude that ended up saving him.
Oh, Lee.
No, Lee is the dad. Emmett.
Emmett
was the dude.
Emmett.
Emmett. So I think I've been saying Lee this whole time. But when Emmett ended up saving them, Emmett ends up taking them back to his shelter, and he ends up telling them like, yeah, like y'all niggas can't stay. Like it's too many mouths to feed in this type of situation. Like my wife has already died down here. Like I lost my son in the process. Like I really don't want you niggas by me, bro. But his mentality, I felt like, was on point. Like, I wasn't mad at him for saying what he said. So how did you feel about that? That would feel like real intriguing to me.
I totally understood where he was coming from. He was like, look, I don't have enough food. I don't have enough water. I'm okay by myself because I know I by myself am not going to make that much noise. I know all the ins and outs of this warehouse. Like, I'm cool. Y'all got to go. Y'all can stay probably for this night, but y'all got to go after that. And I was just like, hey, it's survival mode right now. I totally understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, but he ended up showing a soft spot when he seen the baby. He was just like, "Am I gonna put the baby out on the street?" It's like, I gotta take the man. I gotta take the man for a little minute, bro. So it was still tough to me, bro, because all of that extra attention and that shit would have fucked me. I think I still would have kicked them out even after I seen the baby. I think I still would have had to kick him to the curb, bro, because it's just like you have to be selfish, and that's something in this movie, bro. I felt like was a huge theme. Are you trying to save others? Or are you going to try to save yourself, bro? And that's something that I would have been selfish as fuck. This whole movie and this whole world that they're living in, I'm selfish. Like, nigga, don't try to come in my way. No, nigga. I'm trying to live, like, saving others. Then you seen throughout this whole movie, the girl was getting on my nerves, Reagan, because she was trying to save others. So it's just like, bro, it was really the huge theme of if you're going to sacrifice yourself to save somebody else, or you just trying to be selfish and just hold what you have and just try to survive day by day, bro. So that was a big theme of this episode, not this episode, but this movie, bro. Next, that's when we get to, I think they was there overnight, and that's when we see that Reagan ends up trying to leave in the morning, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, give me your immediate reaction when that shit happened, bro. Because she tried to leave to save others.
I honestly wasn't upset because I understand the selfish standpoint, but I understand the point of we know how to defeat these things. Why not try? Somebody got to try. We can't just be selfish and know the key to defeating them and then just never do it to the maximum level. So I understood why she left and why she was trying to go figure out a way to kill all of them. So I totally understood.
It didn't make sense to me because, first of all, the girl is deaf. She can't hear anything. So even if she steps on something or if a crack happens and a fucking monster ends up running at you, she doesn't know until she actually is looking at it. I'm just like, bruh, you're not the person who's supposed to be out here trying to find shelter, trying to save lives, or trying to find an escape. Like, you're not supposed to be out here by yourself. You're resourceful. I'll give her that. But I'm just like, my nigga, you definitely, you out here by yourself trying to save other niggas? That shit was blowing me, bro. That
is one thing that kind of pissed me off. I'm like, you deaf. Like, how is this gonna work? But at the end of the day, she had the most heart out of all of them.
She did.
So I'm like,
she did.
I can't blame her. It's like, yeah, you can't hear, but you're the only one willing to do the shit. So it's like, hey, you might as well. Shit.
And I'm glad that they tied that back to her dad, saying that her dad was really her motivation for doing things. Like, her dad was taking risks for them to survive day by day. So she just had that dad gene in her to, like, I'm not going to stay here and just try to survive day by day. Like, I'm going to go out here and actually find something else and find if there's something out there to be had by us. So I definitely showed a lot of heart, but I was just like, you could have did this with your family. Like, you doing this by yourself, or you could have asked Emmett, like, something could have changed, but you just out here by yourself. I was just like that. Because we see that almost get her killed, and then, like, literally the next scene, two of them was on her ass.
On that train thing.
On that train. So I'm just like, look. Because even that hearing aid and radio shit wasn't going to work. Because she shot at it, and that bitch was still coming toward her.
I was about to say, even if she would have killed one, the sound from you shooting and the sound from it like screeching and everything, it was gonna send more to you. So it's like, yeah, you can survive maybe if you got only one or two to worry about, but what you gonna do when 3, 4, 5, 6 of them start coming? So I understand.
And I really want to know if we're obviously we can't know in totality how many monsters there are, but I'm just trying to get a picture. Like, they're killing a lot of monsters in these films. Like, how many more are we going to get moving forward? And damn, it's kind of weird because I remember in the first Quiet Place, Lee had wrote down that there was only 3 monsters in the area. That was something that was big in the first movie, but it looked like way more than that now. So I wonder, how do they come in? How do more keep coming into this town? Like, do they keep hearing sounds and one that's supposed to be in another town ends up running over to your town, and like now it's like 5 in their town? Now, like, is that how it works? Like, they don't have like districts. Like, these niggas is running into each other's town and like overlapping, it looks like.
I feel like there might be some on each continent, even if there aren't large numbers, because you've seen in in like the first few minutes of the movie on day one, you seen on the news there were some landing in Europe, some in Asia, and everything. So even if the numbers, like let's say there's only maybe 200 on the whole planet, they're probably spread out enough throughout the world that they can still like kill at a high rate. And like you said, one might be in one town or one city or whatever, but they could probably hear so good that, and they're probably fast as fuck to where they can get to wherever they're going. Like, that meteor literally crashed, and like no less than 5 minutes later,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm like, God damn! Like,
that's what I'm saying.
How well can you hear? Like, shit.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. That shit was hilarious. Them bitches literally landed, and 5 minutes later, them bitches just crashed into the town. I was like, that shit happened so quick, my nigga. Happened so quick. And something else that was a big thing about this movie was the brother. Obviously, he was really like, he really couldn't do anything this entire movie. Obviously, with the bear trap, he really couldn't walk. Like, he really couldn't be out there with the monsters, or he would have been killed for sure. So him and like the baby's dynamic, because he had to take watch over the baby when everybody was out doing their own thing. Did you see any growth in his character really, or did you still feel like he was that dumbass kid for real?
I didn't really see any growth in his character until literally like the last moments of the movie. That was it really. Other than that, he really couldn't do anything, like you said. Like, his foot was damn near infected. Like, I feel like by the third movie they're gonna have to amputate his foot off, because they don't really got too much medical stuff to take care of his foot, because his foot almost literally got completely chopped off. So I don't know how important of a role he's gonna have in the next one. Maybe he'll be in charge of a station or something like that once they start setting up different areas of making that noise for them and stuff like that. But the sister is going to be in charge for most of the things. Yeah,
and I really wish they would have showed us some type of bravery before they gave us that ending scene when he's actually killing the monster. I wish they would have showed us some type of bravery, because it was like he was this scary, like, goofy kid. Obviously, he couldn't really do much anyway with the bear trap injury. So I'm like, y'all didn't show any bravery until the last scene where like he just has to kill this monster. I wish I would have seen some bravery before then, because he ends up causing the monster to come into the shelter anyway, because he out there walking around bumping into shit, trying to discover, being curious. So I'm like, he was the goofy nigga. Now he's saving lives. That was
the stupidest part of the movie. The stupidest part. I'm like, bro, just stay down there. If you got to walk around, just walk around down there, because you know the waterfall thing is right there. So it's not like it can. Oh, it was as stupid. It was as stupid as hell to me.
That was the stupidest part of the movie, bro. Because I was just like, bro, what are you doing, my nigga? Like, he's trying to find shit on Emmett. Like, he see pictures of Emmett's son and shit. But I'm just like, why are you in there? Like, why? What's the point of that?
Can barely walk as is. Like, come on.
Then this nigga bump into everything.
You're leaving a baby down there. Like, bro, like, it's a baby. You can't just leave a baby unattended. Like, oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they show him being scary and then like goofy as hell in other scenes. So I'm just like, how did the evolution end with him being like brave? Like, I would have felt better if the mom, as usual, take the bravery stance and actually kill the monster. But him doing it felt kind of weird. Like, there was no arc to get here. Like, that nigga just was brave out of nowhere. So I'm just like, okay, I'll take it.
You had your moment when she left you with the baby and you didn't take it.
You didn't take advantage. Exactly.
You actually made it worse. You made it worse than what it was. I would have rather you have done nothing and just did exactly what she told you to do, because then it kind of would have been like, okay, he understands the responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. Because you remember he ends up locking himself inside of the tank or whatever that shit was called. So I'm just like, you just show us nothing but goofy shit with this nigga, and then he saves the day. Like, I was like, okay,
crazy.
That shit was kind of crazy, but that shit was crazy, my nigga. He saved the day though, because you broke. And that last scene was so crazy, because the monster was literally about to grab their ass. Like, I would have shitted my clothes. I don't know how them niggas did not shit their clothes with that nigga literally scratching them. Like, bruh, I would have died, bro. Died of just that fear, my nigga. That scene with them stuck in there, that shit was so
crazy,
scary, bro. So fucking scary. Because in most of these scenes, I really like put myself in their position, like what I would do, and it's just like I would not be making the decision.
Survive? Exactly. Would I survive a quiet place? I don't know. I feel like I might. I don't know.
I feel like the toughest part, I can be quiet, but the toughest part is just trying to find like more resources, more food.
Yeah,
Like
that's the
toughest
part.
Trying to stay alive with that is the toughest part. Like you can be quiet, like niggas can be quiet, but just the fact of trying to find new shit, like you got to go into a town like where you can risk stepping on shit and causing more sounds, and then you know what I'm saying, causing more sound, and then you end up getting killed in the process. Like that's the one.
And then it's like certain things you do require sound. So that's the other thing. It's like, certain shit you do it's gonna require you to make sounds. Like you might have to break into something to get resources, and breaking into something leads to making sounds. So you got to know when to make the right sounds. You got to know when to make sounds at all. I don't know. I feel like I probably could have survived, but I don't know.
I don't know how long I would have lasted. I damn sure wouldn't have made it to day 400.
Nah,
I damn sure wouldn't have made it. I would have been one of the probably first niggas killed. I would have been killed in the first 100 days. I'm for sure I would have been killed in the first 100 days. I wouldn't have died like them though. Like in the first movie, I remember when my boy had ended up playing with the toy, and that's how he ended up getting killed.
Yeah,
I'm
not on the stupid shit.
I ain't dying like that. Funny, I feel like I would be dying by the hands of somebody else. I would be dying because somebody else make noise, and I'm in the vicinity and shit. Yeah. I'm in the vicinity of a nigga, so they gonna kill me in the process of trying to get to the actual sound.
I might die. I might die because somebody else made a noise, and then it might be somebody I love, so I might try to save them.
Yeah. Or I'm trying to run away, like and obviously I'm making sounds. I'm scared of shit. So in the process, you don't know what the fuck you gonna do. Like you running, like you bound to make more noises and draw the attention away from the actual target, and now you're dead. So this is like.
Did you feel like they had to be shoeless the entire time?
Did they have to be shoeless? I feel like yes, because in the train tracks and like on the grass, you don't know when you're going to step on like branches and shit like that. So you have to feel it. So when you feel like a branch, like you know how to like, oh, let me step off it. If you have shoes on, you're not really feeling that branch like that. So you step on it, like nigga, that's a crack sound, and like them niggas coming to get you. So you have to wear like you can't wear shoes on the outside. Maybe on the inside, like when you were where they were at, like underground, like in the shelter, you can wear shoes. But outside, like, nah, I can't see you wearing shoes out there. Like you make a sound, my nigga, like that shit over with a branch for real.
That's true. That's true.
That shit over. All right, man. And one person we really didn't talk about this podcast was the mom. Really, she really didn't do too much really in this one. She killed the first person. I'm trying to remember what she did. In this movie.
She was more so of a
calming presence.
I don't even want to say a calming presence because she did play an important role. Because remember, when she left Marcus with the baby, she was the one who had to go by herself to get more oxygen and all that stuff. So she was definitely the one who was the knowledgeable person out of everybody other than the daughter for the most part.
And I feel like we're gonna like dive more into her character once again in that film, because most of the time in the first movie, the movie was really about Lee and her, and the kids were like side characters. But in this film, it felt like Reagan and Emmett were like the lead. Like we're going to picture them on their journey, and the side plot was Marcus, the baby, and Evelyn, like in the shelter trying to stay alive. So I felt like they were definitely the subplot, but she's gonna get back to like being the main character once again, like in the next movie. Because I feel like she was just really trying to keep shit in order. Like, okay, like I got a baby, I gotta protect now. Like I'm trying to keep a shelter. Like I gotta find Emmett, or I gotta just keep shit in order. I gotta get oxygen. I just gotta protect the family. So when she see old girl run off like in the middle of the day, it's just like, God damn, like I'm trying to keep shit together and you running off like this. Like that shit was wild for a mother in that type of position, bro. For real. And that's when let me just skip forward, because then we get Emmett and Reagan really just trying to find this island at this point, the island where they say people are at.
And this is because they notice when they're in Emmett's hideout, they notice that the song "Somewhere Beyond the Sea." I think that's the actual title of the song. I think if y'all don't know the song, it's the song that they play when Nemo goes off, "Somewhere Beyond the Sea." They notice that there's a radio station that's been playing it for months now, for like the last 4 months, and Emmett tells them it's that same station and that same song like every day for the last 4 months. So once Reagan notices that, that's what motivates her to go out and figure out where that station is, because they had a radio book with all the stations and where the stations are at. And that's when she finds out where the island is. So her and Emmett, like you said, they're going to find out where they can reach the island, and that's where they come up on this boat dock. This boat dock scene was the craziest scene in the entire movie. This is probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
It was. And then that's when we get to the boat dock scene. And then they get to the boat docks because they're obviously trying to get over and get to the island and shit. So they see a little girl running around in the background. So they're just like, what the fuck? Like they don't know what's going on. So they see the little girl at the like the front of the dock, and she's just sitting there. So they like obviously Emmett starts to walk toward her because he thinks that she needs help.
She looked like that bitch off Left 4 Dead.
Bruh, she looked like she was up to some trouble, my nigga. So I was just like what the fuck going on?
Whenever you see a girl just cut down, just crying off in a mysterious area, just talk from a distance. Do not try to walk up on her. I don't know why he did that.
Because if she needed help, she would have just asked for help. Because she running in the background and shit, like she would have asked for help. Like she would have been looking all weird and creepy in the front of the dock like that. So he obviously knew some shit was going on. He walks up to the little girl. Little girl wrap a rope around his neck, make that bitch like a noose. That nigga was choked. And then you see a whole lot of, I don't even know what you would call them, voyagers, people around the boat people. I don't know.
The crazy survivors. That's what the hell I'm gonna call it.
The crazy boat survivors. They just come out of the fucking woodworks out of everybody. They end up hemming up Reagan and shit. And I feel like they were really just trying to steal supplies from them. I feel like that was their purpose in this film. And
you seen that Emmett was wrapped up in cans too. Like when she tied that noose on his neck, he was like, it was a net put on him too, and he was wrapped in cans. So it's like every time he moved, he was gonna make the most noise out of everybody. So I'm like, damn, like they're trying to steal supplies to the fullest. And I'm like, this shit is crazy. And it's funny
because I wonder how long they have been doing this. Because when we get to the scene when we're talking to what's my boy name? The black dude at the end. It wasn't too many black people in this film. Black dude at the end. Y'all gonna know who the hell I'm talking about.
The one that was in the previews.
So we get to the end with the black dude, and he's talking to Emmett, and he's telling them like, yeah, like a lot of people knew about this island. Like we sent for 12 boats, and 12 boats were supposed to come to the island, but only 2 boats ended up making it in. When I thought about it, I was just like, was that the monsters that ended up fucking them up, or was that the crazy boat survivors that ended up taking their supplies? Like, which one was it? Because
I feel like it was both, because he said everybody was it was around the time when the monsters first got there, I think, that he said people were supposed to, like you said, get on 12 boats and go to the island, but people went from slowly trying to get on to they heard danger in the distance and they heard like the monsters coming. So that's when people started getting loud, started pushing each other, started screaming and stuff like that. And then it was just a massacre from that point on. So I'm like, damn. And then the rest of the people who probably died were probably from the crazy people who were trying to keep the boats to themselves.
Exactly. And I kind of felt like I didn't know if it was either the monsters or the crazy boat people, because the boats weren't damaged. You feel like the boats would have been damaged if they would have been trying to get on the boats. Like, because we seen at the end when they actually came, the monsters came and tried to fuck with the people on the boats. They were fucking up the boats. So I'm like, none of these boats were fucked up before. So I'm like, did they actually come, or was it the crazy boat people that fucked them up? And the crazy boat people just ended up staying like, this might be a good plan just to hide out, get supplies, and survive this way. So I was like kind of going back and forth. So it could have been both though. But that's the one thing, I didn't see any damage on the boat. So I'm just like, did monsters really show up? But he did say that they were screaming though, and that's what fucked up everything, because they started screaming like, obviously niggas gonna come if they screaming like that. But then that's when we see Reagan ended up diving into the water. Emmett gives her that sign that he gave at the beginning of the movie. She dives into the water, and Emmett ends up diving into the water as well, and they end up getting on the boat and get into the island. And then the crazy boat people, they tried to hop on a boat because all of these monsters and demigorgons looking shit started coming into the shit, and the crazy boat people got onto the boats, tried to get off, but them damn demigorgons was hopping on them motherfucking boats, getting them niggas and fucking them niggas straight up, my nigga. That shit was crazy. But we find out in this. Oh, go ahead. I was
about to say the biggest plot twist was these monsters can't swim. So not only can you fuck up their hearing, they cannot swim, which was the biggest plot twist of the entire movie. I was not expecting that. I knew there was going to be another way to defeat them, but I didn't think it was going to be water. That was cool.
Yeah, I didn't either, because when Emmett first gets into the water, like a monster ends up jumping into the water, and you
I'm like, that's not gonna save you.
Yeah, I'm just like, damn. I'm like, the monster's gonna get his ass. But then you see the monster like grabbing for help and shit. I'm just like, oh, they can't swim. Like he fucking up the boat and shit. I'm like, that's crazy that they can't swim. So yeah, that shit was nuts, bro. That shit was definitely nuts. Definitely a huge plot twist. But you had talked about it, looking forward to the next movie. You were saying that you would like to see an evolution. What type of evolution would you like to see?
I feel like to make the third one, I feel like if they really do a third one like we're predicting, and this is going to be the way it ends, you have to have the monsters evolve and learn how to swim, especially after a full year. They've been on Earth for a full year now. We're just finding out they can't swim. Let's say the third movie is fast forwarded for like the next couple months now. I feel like some of them got to learn how to swim to make the third movie more entertaining, because if they still can't swim in the third one and we already know about the hearing shit, it's like it's gonna be a lot of easy confirmed kills at this point. But if you get some of these monsters
to a desert, you gotta take that shit to a desert.
You gotta take this shit to a desert or something like that. Like, or if they are around water, let's say the monsters learn how to swim, and then you really only got the hearing thing to go off of. So I feel like they gotta evolutionize. They got to do that to the monsters. I feel like that's what has to happen.
I feel the same way, but I don't know how it would happen, because I feel like evolution really happens more so with like a new spawn. Like you can teach the new generation something new. So I feel like if they were like actually like birthing these monsters, like you can like teach the new monsters that, oh, like you got to learn how to swim type shit. Then that's how they can evolve. But I feel like these monsters that we already have aren't going to evolve into like being able to swim. Like these niggas ain't really like all knowing like that, because those were only 2 monsters that we seen like in that boat scene, like 2 or 3 of them. So how do the other monsters know that they can't swim? They don't know.
That's true.
They can't know. So I'm just like, I
don't know. I feel like the writers and the directors can do it. If Zombieland 2 can have zombies that adapted into being more smart and more fast and quicker and all. If we can get a Zombieland 2 with better zombies, I'm pretty sure we can get a Quiet Place 3 with better monsters.
Yeah, I definitely want that, but adaptation would take time, and like new monsters, like baby monsters coming and like really fucking your shit up. Because then the baby monster's gonna be able to swim. Like I feel like the monsters that we already have, like them niggas ain't gonna be swimming and shit like that. But I do want to see. I feel like that will be the best part to make it a better Quiet Place 3. Like they have to evolve, because we know there are weaknesses now. Like the whole movie, this nigga just gonna be diving into the water. All right, bitch, I'm safe. I'm good, my nigga. I'm good. So it's just like, what y'all niggas gonna do? Unless them Demogorgons end up hopping on boats, like we seen in the you see by the end of the movies. And I can now, that's something I can see. Them niggas just getting wise enough to know, like, let me fuck with this boat real quick. Like the boat might be the way to really get this shit going with the monsters and shit. So I don't know. But yeah, we end up seeing that my girl Reagan and Emmett end up getting up to the escape island. They end up finding out that like hella people were out here just surviving.
Whole civilization out there.
Whole civilization was out there. They were just chilling, had no worries. The town was
minding their business. Just minding their business.
Minding their fucking business, bro. So the town was all the way across the ocean. Like them niggas was far away at this point. So we thinking we good. Like, because by the end of the movie, I was thinking that they were going to go back and save the mom, Marcus.
Yeah, I thought that too.
And the baby, and then bring them back. But the way it ended really fucked me up, bro. So what was your reaction when you seen that the boat had ended up coming in and the monster was on the boat? Emmett was just like, what the fuck?
This was the boat dock scene was the best scene, but this scene when the monster made it to the island, this was the funniest scene. This shit was hilarious. I'm like, bro, these people are living a happy life thinking that they made it out of this apocalyptic type shit. And then all you see is Emmett running back to the island. Run! And I was like, no, all the kids. It was so many kids. This shit was hilarious. I'm like, because I was confused. I'm like, how did the boat that the other monster was in that didn't die, how did that boat coincidentally make it to the same exact island that they made it to? But you had told me right after we watched it, like that boat made it there after they did, because Emmett and Ray, they made it there at nighttime that same night, and then I think the boat with the monster on it made it that next morning.
The next day, yeah, it made it. And also, they didn't have any. What did you tell me the canoe shit is called? What?
Oars. They didn't have any oars.
They didn't have any oars, so they really were just floating there off just the current alone. So if they got down off the current alone, like that boat could have obviously got off the current alone, just flowing, riding off the wave, and ended up just popping up. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna roll with. Like, I'm gonna give him that. I'm gonna throw him that bail right quick.
Plus, it did come up on shore in a completely different location. Like,
it did.
They came up on a beach area, and the monster's boat came up in like a sewer area.
Yeah, she was in the cut. Like, I don't know how he seen that shit. I was just like, where are you standing for you to see that anyway?
He was just going on a walk. I think he was just walking around. He seen the boat, and I'm like, thank God this man was walking around, because they probably would have died too. Shit,
way more people would have died if them niggas didn't say that shit, bro. The kids wouldn't have been stored away like we seen. Like, nah, them niggas would have been dead for sure if he didn't say anything. But yeah, the monster ends up causing damage in the escape island, so they have to go all the way to a radio station that's like. I don't even know how far it was. It looked like it was some miles down the road. So they had to take a car. The black dude, Reagan, and Emmett had to ride all the way to the radio station because obviously they need to put the hearing aid on it so they can fuck with the monster.
And they had the monster following them on purpose to get away from the what's called the civilization, the little town that they made.
Hey,
it made sense. It made sense, but I was just mad the way the black dude died. Y'all could have had his death be way better than what the fuck it was.
Black people have way more common sense to ask questions in a situation like that, bro. They have way more common sense. This nigga talking about, this nigga really said, did he follow us here? Oh my God, I gotta worry about the town. My nigga, you stored your kids away, so you ain't gotta worry about your kids. Yo, you shouldn't worry about anybody else. Your kids are fine. And then the fact that, are they following you? Yes, they are following you, nigga, but that shouldn't even be a question. You shouldn't worry about getting inside. He was
asking, did it turn around? He was asking, wait, he was just right behind us. Did he turn around and go back to
that's true.
Who cares? You put your kids away.
Exactly. Nobody cares. Just get inside of the radio station, bro, and shut the fuck up. Exactly. This nigga asking questions like, damn, we might have to go back. Fucking monster took his leg, killed that nigga real smooth. I'm like, this nigga asking too many questions anyway. Stupid as fuck. The only black nigga in this movie that we really seen, and he dies like
that. And the one with no common sense. The only other black person we've seen was the police cop in the beginning of the movie.
True.
And I can't even say his death was stupid because nobody knew to be quiet at that time. And he was just trying to kill the monster. So
yeah, that's
still, I was still upset. Only 2 black people in this movie, and one of the 2 only black people died stupidly. I was like, y'all could have gave them both reasonable deaths. I'm thinking the black dude
killed him in the car.
Live. I'm thinking he was finna live. I ain't gonna lie. I thought the black person was gonna live.
And that's what I want to talk about. When they were actually driving and like the monster was like on like the back of the car, I was like, I thought old girl was gonna die because that monster was really like on her ass. And when she lifted up like the curtain or whatever the fuck she lifted up, like that monster easily could have fucking put his hand in and fucking gouged her shit out. But he ended up just like looking at her ass, like putting his face in, and he ended up falling off the car or whatever. I'm like, that nigga could have got your ass high fucking key. But then yeah, that's when we get to the end where we get Emmett and my girl in the radio station. And they're just trying to be quiet the whole time because the monster is inside of the radio station. They got to be quiet. It was a couple of times where I was like, that monster should be hearing what the fuck going on. Because when she landed, I was just like, damn, that was a pretty loud thump. Like, that nigga didn't hear
that's when it did. That's when it did hear her. Yeah.
Because like she had to go through a window and she was like trying not to step on things. And I like how they set that scene up because it showed you like the obstacles like of her trying to land.
Yeah,
there was like some pencils there, and there was like a drawer was sticking out. She had to push.
It was
back
a drawer
in.
Sticking out, and she almost stepped in it. Because if she would have stepped in it, she would have fell back and fucked everything up. I'm like, oh my God.
I love the way they set. Yeah, I love the way they set that shit up, bro. I love the way they set that shit up. But yeah, she eventually ends up putting the hearing aid on the radio of the radio station. So that shit was like a wide frequency. Obviously, it fucks up the monster's ears. And that nigga was like really, you know what I'm saying, going through it. And she came up, I don't know what she grabbed. She was like some type of rod.
She grabbed one of the one of the microphone stands.
Oh, she grabbed a microphone stand, and then she ended up hitting that bitch right across her head, smooth. Like, I was like, damn, I thought she was gonna need a couple of hits, but she really killed that bitch one hit. Like, and it was done with it. That shit kind of surprised me though. And that was really like the end of the movie.
Yeah, it was the same time. The one thing I did like about the brother killing the monster, they showed the brother and the sister killing their monster at the same exact time in the same way. So I thought that was cool. Even though we didn't get the growth that we thought we would get with him, the moment itself was still really cool.
Yeah, I did fuck with that too. Bro. But that was really the end of the movie, bro. I love this shit. I really did fuck with it.
I love the dramatics of how it ended because right after she killed it, like she looked at Emmett and Emmett looked at her, and they gave each other that look of like, we know how to do it, like we got it. And then boom, the movie just ended. There was no last minute of them reconnecting with people, stuff like that. That's how I know there's going to be a third one, because they just looked at each other like, we did it. And then like the shit just went black. And I'm like, yeah, there's definitely going to be a third one.
And I like how their connection really grew throughout the movie, because obviously at first, like, they didn't really even like each other like that. Mm-hmm. And then they had to grow into a point where they was actually fucking with each other. Like, it was like a mutual respect, because I remember in one scene she had told him like, you're not my dad. Or some shit like that.
She was saying you're not like my dad, because their dad was willing to just save people and like really trying to be the person to, just trying to make everybody else's situation better, even though they're all going through the same shit. And Emmett was like, nah, I'm on my own. Like, this is my shit. But I understood where Emmett was coming from. Emmett's like, I lost both my sons and I lost my wife. Like, I don't give a fuck about nobody else at this point.
At all.
But she didn't understand that at first, because she was just like, how were you friends with my dad? And he's dead, but you're okay with the fact that we're still out here, like, and you're supposed to be like my dad's best friend and stuff like that. So I understood both sides of what they were coming from.
Yeah. Another thing that I would say about this movie, bro, they should have put subtitles on that one scene when we first met Emmett, and then he was talking to Evelyn or whatever, the mom. I didn't hear what the fuck they were saying in any part of that conversation. I was like, what? Like, they needed subtitles on that. I didn't hear what they were saying. I didn't even know if that he knew Lee until like Lee's name was brought up. I was like, oh, he was the dude from the beginning. Like, it all started to click when I
remembered his face. I
didn't even remember his face. I was just like, who is this nigga? Like, I thought y'all just randomly ran up on him.
They had the camera on him a little bit. Like a little bit more than others. In the beginning. Yeah. They had the camera on him a little bit more than others, so I tried to make sure I pay attention to his face. I'm like, they got the camera on him a lot, so let me make sure I remember who that is.
Yeah, man, but I like the growth of their relationship. It feels like a stepfather and daughter relationship right now, so I definitely fuck with it. But we definitely getting a 3. We want a 3. I love this experience. I love this film, even though with the critiques, I love this film. I would give this shit like probably a 9 out of 10, bro. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm on the same 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I honestly give it a 9.5. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah.
I give it
the biggest critique I had was we could have just used more background. Other than that, I really didn't have a problem with the movie. And like I said, I feel like in the third one, they're still going to give more background, because I feel like the more they try to conjure a plan to use all the radio stations at the same time, I think they're going to give flashbacks still in the third one. So I think, even though my critique of them not giving enough in this one is going to show in the next one. So 9.5 out of 10 for me.
And I say a 9 because, like you said, the background, we talked about it at the beginning. That was something that fucked with me. And I wish we would have got more growth with the brother character and him at the end just killing the monster. I was just like, this nigga was goofy and fucking shit up for a long time. And he killing niggas. I was just like, that art was kind of, kind of sketchy to me. But those are my 2 critiques. But I loved everything else. I loved how everything was set up and how everything was so entertaining with the movie. Like, you were really on the edge of your seat most of the time, bro. Like, I fuck with Quiet Place, and we definitely got to get a 3. I really hope the monsters really evolve, bro, because that's what's gonna make the movie better. Because I feel like it's gonna have to do with them trying to get back together, I guess, because they don't know where they're at.
Yeah, because
the mother doesn't know that they're on this other island, and
it could be a situation where the brother knows about the radio thing. True. And like, because that's why when he killed his monster, he had the radio in front of him, because my sister did it. She actually did it. So like, you're probably right. That's probably going to be the next movie. Emmett and Ray are probably going to link up with people and figure out how to make their plan work to the max. And then Marcus and Evelyn and the baby, they're probably going to meet up with other people. And it's going to be a pathway that you show of them getting together while fixing the problem at the same time. I feel like that's what it's going to be. Because
they have one boat, the boat that the monster came in on. They still have that boat to get back to the town and shit like that. So I feel like that's how they could eventually get back. But you would definitely want to end up in that island again. I know the monster end up coming and wrecking shit, but that's still where you want to be, because the town is too crazy. The town is still too crazy. So yeah. But I think that's it, bro. You can hit up with the social media.
You can follow us on Twitter at QE Podcast 1. You can follow us on Instagram at QANDE Podcast. You can follow and like our Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you can see anytime that we drop new episodes. And our email, QANDEpodcast@gmail.com for any business inquiries, questions, or concerns.
Yes, and subscribe to all of our podcast platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube Q&E Podcast, and subscribe to my YouTube. Just type in Quincy Hicks into the search bar and definitely subscribe. We appreciate you guys for listening, and we out. Peace.